Hello everybody, this is Refresh and I'm here to bring you a battle between the 5 Strixhaven commander decks. We have Lorehold over here, Prismari over there, Quandrix over there, Silverquill over there, and Witherbloom over here. They've been arranged in alphabetical order for a lack of other means of arranging them. We're going to be playing one giant 5-player free-for-all with no special rules other than standard commander rules. And we will see who comes out the winner. We'll roll a single d20 to see who goes first. Lorehold rolls an 8. Prismari rolls an 18. Quandrix rolls a 19. Silverquill rolls an 8. And Witherbloom rolls a 14. Quandrix goes first. We'll draw our opening hands. Quandrix draws a Theoretical Duplication, Guardian Augmenter, Return of the Wildspeaker, Novigen, Heart of Progress, Forest, Simic Growth Chamber, and Forest. It's not an amazing opening hand, but I guess we can keep it. Silverquill draws a Parasitic Impetus, Swamp, Secluded Step, Plains, and a Guardian Archon. It's a little bit slow because of all the lands, and so we will take a mulligan here, and because this is multiplayer, we'll get one free mulligan. Now Silverquill draws a Secret Rendezvous, Hunted Lamassu, Bajuka Bog, Deathbringer Regent, Scholarship Sponsor, Spectral Searchlight, and Opal Palace. This is a weaker hand because of only 2 lands, but hopefully draw one more land and activate the Spectral Searchlight to ramp. Witherbloom draws a Swamp, Exotic Orchard, Vampire Nighthawk, Swamp, Forest, Gaze of Granite, and Leyline Prowler. It's not an amazing hand, but the Nighthawk holds a lot off, and so does the Leyline Prowler, so we'll keep it. Lorehold draws a Rogue's Passage, Phyrexia's Core, Mindstone, Plains, Monologue Tax, Rip Apart, and Pia Nalar. Unfortunately, we don't have any red mana, and our only white card is Monologue Tax. So we're going to mulligan this, and hope we can draw a better hand with our free mulligan. And now we have a Mountain, Battlefield Forge, Study Hall, Temple of Triumph, Steel Hellkite, Triplicate Titan, and Plains. This is also a pretty bad hand because of all the lands and only expensive cards. I don't think we should keep this, but I think because of the Temple of Triumph, we're going to hope that we can scry into a better second turn, so we'll keep this. Prismari draws a Creative Technique, Expressive Iteration, Inspiring Refrain, Island, Brainstorm, Shivan Reef, and Mountain. This is a pretty good hand, so we'll gladly keep it. Because this is multiplayer, we'll draw on our opening turns. Quandrix draws an Idol of Oblivion. We'll play a Forest, and Quandrix will pass the turn. Silverquill draws an Elite Scale Guard. We'll play the Opal Palace. This is a land. Tap to add colorless, pay 1, tap it to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. If you spend this mana to cast your commander, it enters the battlefield with a number of additional +1/+1 counters equal to the number of times it's been cast from the command zone of this game. And the Silverquill will pass the turn. Witherbloom draws a Forest. We'll play a Swamp, and Witherbloom will pass the turn. Lorehold draws a Combustible Gearhulk. We'll play the Temple of Triumph. This is a land. It enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, scry 1. You can tap for red or white. We're scrying. I'm going to put the land on the bottom. Then Lorehold passes the turn. Prismari draws an Elementalist Palette. We're going to play the island, and we'll hold up the mana for Brainstorm, and we'll pass the turn. Quandrix draws and gets a Biomathematician. We'll play a Forest, and we'll tap both of these and play the Idol of Oblivion. This is an artifact. You can tap to draw a card, activate only if you create a token this turn. You can pay 8, tap, sacrifice it to create a 10/10 colorless Eldrazi creature token. And then Quandrix will pass the turn. Silverquill draws a Soul Ring. We'll tap the Opal Palace and play the Soul Ring. This is an artifact. You can tap it for 2 colorless mana. We'll also play the Bajuka Bog. It's a land that enters the battlefield tap. When it enters the battlefield, exile all cards from target player's graveyard. You can tap for black. Doesn't matter because there's no graveyards, but we'll target Lorehold. Then Silverquill will pass the turn. Witherbloom draws an Honor Troll. We'll play a Forest, and then Witherbloom will pass the turn. Lorehold then taps. Draws a dig site engineer. We'll play a plains, and then we will pass the turn. At the end of Lorehold's turn, Prismari will tap the island and cast Brainstorm. This is an instant. It says draw 3 cards and put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. We draw a Metallurgic Summonings and a Desert of the Mindful. We're going to put the Shivan Reef on top and the Inspiring Refrain on top. Then we'll go to our turn. We'll untap the island. We'll draw the Inspiring Refrain. We'll play the Mountain. We can't really play Expressive Iteration just yet, so I think we're going to hold and pass the turn. Quandrix untaps. Draws a Champion of Wits. We're going to play Novigen Heart of Progress. This is a land. It taps for colors. You can pay green and blue and tap it to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature that entered the battlefield this turn. And then we'll hold mana up and pass the turn. Silver Quill untaps. Draws a Teysa, Envoy of Ghosts. We'll tap 3 colorless mana to cast the Spectral Searchlight. This is an artifact. You can tap it to choose a player. That player adds 1 mana of any color they choose. And then we don't have anything else we can do, so we'll pass the turn. Wither draws a Loxodon Warhammer. I think we're going to play a Swamp here. And then we'll tap out and cast the Leyline Prowler. This is a 2/3 Nightmare Beast with Death Touch and Lifelink. And you can tap it to add 1 mana of any color. And then we'll pass the turn. Lorehold draws Alabu Ancient Witness. We'll play a Mountain. We'll tap all 3 and cast the Dig Site Engineer. This is a 3/3 Dwarf Artificer. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may pay 2. If you do, create a 0/0 colors construct artifact creature token with this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. This creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. And then we'll pass the turn. Prismari draws a Muse Vortex. We're going to tap 2 mana and cast Expressive Iteration. It's a sorcery. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put 1 of them into your hand, 1 of them on the bottom of your library, and exile 1 of them. You may play the exiled card this turn. We're looking at a Forgotten Cave, Ponder, and Volcanic Vision. We'll put the Forgotten Cave in exile and then play it immediately. It's a land. It enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it for red, and you can cycle it for red. We'll put the Ponder into our hand and the Volcanic Vision on the bottom. And then we'll pass the turn. We are at 8 cards, and so we must discard 1 of them. Or the Inspiring Refrain. And Prismari will end the turn. At the end of Prismari's turn, Quandrix will tap out and cast the Guardian Augmenter. This is a 2/2 Troll Wizard with Flash. Commander creatures you control get +2/+2, and commanders you control have hexproof. Then we'll untap. We draw a Forgotten Ancient. Looks like we cannot cast anything, and so we're going to float a green with the forest and play the Simic Growth Chamber. This is a land that enters the battlefield tap. When it enters the battlefield, return a land you control from its owner's hand. You can tap it for green and blue. We don't really have much else we can do but attack, and Prismari and Silverquill are the ones that are the most open. We'll attack Silverquill with the Guardian Augmenter. Silverquill goes to 38, and Quandrix will pass the turn. Silverquill untaps, draws a Plains. We'll play the Plains. We'll tap the Soul Ring to float 2 colorless mana. Then we'll tap the Opal Palace, activating its ability. And that will be white mana. We'll tap the Vajukabog for black mana. And then we'll cast Brina the Demagogue. From the command zone, this is a 1/3 legendary bird warlock with flying. And whenever a player attacks one of your opponents, if that opponent has more life than any of your other opponents, that attacking player draws a card, and you put 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature you control, and then we'll pass the turn. Witherbloom untaps, draws a Temple of the False God, play a Forest. We'll tap 3 mana and play an Honor Troll. This is a 2/3 Troll Druid with Vigilance, and if you gain life, you gain that much life +1 instead. It gets +2/+1 as long as you have 25 or more life. We have 40, so it is a 4/4. We'll swing the Leyline Prowler at Prismari. Prismari takes 2 and goes to 38. Witherbloom gains 2 and goes to 42. Then Witherbloom will pass a turn. Lorehold untaps, draws an Exotic Orchard. We'll play the Battlefield Forge. It's a land. You can tap it for colorless, or you can tap it for red or white, and it deals 1 damage to you. We'll tap it for colorless, tap the rest, and we'll cast Osgir the Reconstructor is a 4/4 legendary giant artificer with vigilance. And for 1, you can sacrifice an artifact. Target creature you control gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Exile an artifact card with mana value X from your graveyard. Create 2 tokens that are copies of the exiled card. Activate only as sorcery. It looks like sorcery. It looks like Quandrix's shields are down, so we'll go ahead and swing the Digsite Engineer at Quandrix. Quandrix takes 3 and goes to 37. Then Lorehold passes a turn. Prismari taps. Draws an Exotic Orchard. We'll play a Mountain. We'll tap. And cast our commander, which is Zephi Thunder Conductor. This is a 1/4 legendary human shaman with Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery, scry 1. If that spell's mana value is 5 or greater, create a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. If that spell's mana value is 10 or greater, it deals 10 damage to opponent chosen at random. That is all of our mana, so we will pass the turn. Quandrix untaps. Draws a Blighted Woodland. We'll play another forest. We'll tap 4 mana and cast our commander. This is Adrix and Nev, twin casters. This is a 2/2 legendary Merfolk Wizard with Ward 2. If 1 or more tokens will be created under your control, create twice that many of those tokens are created instead. We no longer have good attacks, and so we will just hold our 4/4 and pass the turn. We're just realizing that Brina should have triggered, and so we'll put counters on Brina, and Lorehold will draw a card. Lorehold draws a Solemn Simulacrum. We'll untap. We'll draw a Swamp. We'll play the Swamp. We have 7 mana, so we will tap out and play Teysa, Envoy of Ghosts. So 4/4 legendary human advisor with vigilance and protection from creatures. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to you, destroy that creature. Create a 1/1 white and black spirit creature token with flying. We have good defense against everybody, so I think we're going to try to even out the odds here and maybe convince Witherbloom to attack Lorehold. So we'll swing at Witherbloom with Brina for 3 in the air. Witherbloom takes 3 and goes to 39. And then Silver Quill will pass the turn. Witherbloom untaps. Draws a forest. Play the forest. And attacking Lorehold would get us a card. We'll swing at Lorehold with the Honor Troll for 4. And draw 1 off of Brina. We get a Nissa's Renewal. We'll put up a couple more counters on Brina. Lorehold will take 4 and go to 36. Witherbloom will tap out and cast Nissa's Renewal. It's a sorcery. Search your library for up to 3 basic land cards. Put them onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library. And then shuffle. You'll gain 7 life. Put 1 forest, 1 swamp, and another swamp. We'll shuffle. We'll gain 7 life to go up to 46, and then we'll pass the turn. Lorehold untaps, draws an Arcane Signet. We're going to play the Exotic Orchard. It's a land. You can tap to add 1 mana of any color that a land an opponent controls could produce. We'll tap the Orchard and the Forge to cast an Arcane Signet. This artifact you can tap to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Then we'll tap 4 more mana to cast a Solemn Simulacrum. This is a 2/2 artifact golem, and whenever it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card, put that onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. When it dies, you may draw a card. We put the mountain on the battlefield tapped, and we'll shuffle. We don't have the 2 for the Digsite Engineer, so we will skip its trigger. We'll swing at Prismari with the Osgir to trigger Brina and draw a card. We draw an Ichor Wellspring. Silver Quill will put 2 counters onto Teysa. Prismari will take 4 and go to 34. Then Lorehold will pass the turn. Prismari untaps. Draws a Mind's Desire. Play the Exotic Orchard. And we'll tap out. Tapping the Chivalry for colorless. And we'll cast Creative Technique. It's a sorcery. It has Demonstrate and shuffle your library, then reveal cards from the top until you reveal a non-land card. Exile that card and put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. You may cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost. We'll activate the Demonstrate to copy it, and then we'll also give Quandrix the copy. We'll give Quandrix the first trigger. Quandrix will reveal an island and a Coiling Oracle. We'll cast the Corralling Oracle. It's a 1/1 snake elf druid, and when it enters the battlefield, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land, put it on the battlefield. Otherwise, put that card into your hand. It is an island. We'll put that onto the battlefield. We're going to use the Magecraft ability. So we're casting the first spell. We're going to scry the Mana Geyser, and we will keep the Mana Geyser on top. We're going to create a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature. And then we'll cast Mana Geyser, which is a sorcery. Add red for each tapped land your opponents control. That's 21 red mana. Then we'll activate our copy. We'll scry 1, Erratic Cyclops. We'll go ahead and put this on the bottom. And then we'll get another elemental. And then we'll reveal some cards. It's Treasure Cruise. We'll cast that from exile. We'll draw 3 cards. This is a Mountain, a Traumatic Visions, and a Hedron Archive. We still have 21 mana remaining. We'll spend 3 of it to cast the Elementalist Palette. This is an artifact. Whenever you cast a spell with X in its mana cost, put 2 charge counters on Elementalist Palette. You can tap it for 1 mana of any color. You can tap it to add colors for each charge counter on the palette and spend it only on mana that costs X. We have 18 mana remaining. We'll play the Hedron Archive. It's an artifact. You can tap it for 2 colorless, or you can pay 2 and sacrifice it to draw 2 cards. We're going to go ahead and immediately pay 2 and sacrifice it to draw 2 cards. We draw a Living Lore and an Island, and we're down to 14 mana remaining. We need more red cards, so we'll tap the Elementalist Palette for blue and cast Ponder. It's a sorcery. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put them back in any order you may shuffle. Draw a card. So we have a Mind Stone, Memorial to Genius, and Is It Boilerworks? Or we'll put the Mind Stone on top, followed by the Is It Boilerworks, followed by the Memorial to Genius. We'll draw the Mind Stone. We'll spend the 2 to play the Mind Stone. And I think we're out of things that we can do with the mana that we have remaining. So we will stop here, and we have too many cards, and so we're going to discard the Living Lord, and we will pass the turn. Quandrix untaps, draws a forest. We'll play the forest. We'll spend 3 mana and cast the Champion of Wits. This is a 2/1 Naga Wizard, and when it enters the battlefield, you may draw cards equal to its power. If you do, discard 2 cards. So we'll draw 2 cards. And we have a Desolation Twin, as well as Incubation and Incongruity. We'll discard the Incubation and Incongruity, as well as the Biomathematician. And then we'll pass the turn holding up Theoretical Duplication. Silver Quill untaps, draws a Duelist Heritage. We'll tap the Plains and the Soul Ring to cast Duelist Heritage. It's an enchantment. Whenever 1 or more creatures attack, you may have target attacking creature gain double strike until end of turn. We'll swing Brina at Witherbloom and give it double strike. That'll trigger Brina, and we'll draw a card, which is Together Forever. And then we'll put 2 more counters onto Tysa. This deals 10 damage, and we'll take Witherbloom down to 36. I think we need more lands, and so we're going to tap our remaining mana to cast the Scholarship Sponsor. This is a 3/3 Human Advisor. When it enters the battlefield, each player controls fewer lands than the player who controls the most lands. Searches the library for a number of basic lands less than or equal to the difference and puts those cards onto the battlefield tapped and then shuffles. So Witherbloom has 8, and so we're going to search up 4 more basic lands. And we'll shuffle. Warhol gets 1 of each and shuffles. We get 2 islands and a mountain here. We'll shuffle. Quandrix gets 2 islands. We'll shuffle. Then Silver Quill will pass a turn. Witherbloom untaps. Draw a swamp. We'll play the swamp. Tap 3 mana and cast the Vampire Nighthawk. This is a 2/3 Flying Death Touch Lifelink Vampire Shaman. We'll tap 3 more mana and cast Willow Dusk Essence Seer. It's a 3/3 legendary Dryad Druid. You pay 1 and tap it to choose another target creature. Put a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the amount of life you gained this turn, or the amount of life you lost this turn, whichever is greater. Activate only as a sorcery. We'll tap 3 more mana. Cast the Loxodon Warhammer. This is an equipment. Equipped creature gets +3/+0 and has trample and lifelink. We'll just stop here with all sorts of death and we'll pass the turn. Lord Hold taps. Draw us a Rogue's Passage. We'll play the Rogue's Passage. It's a land. And tap it for colorless. You pay 4 and tap it for target creature can't be blocked this turn. Looks like we can get some good defenses up here. So we'll tap 6 mana and cast a Steel Hellkite. This is a 5/5 artifact dragon with flying. Can pay 2 to give a +1/+0 until end of turn. And pay X to destroy each non-land permanent with mana value X whose controller was dealt combat damage by Steel Hellkite this turn. Activate only once each turn. Then we'll spend 2 more mana to use the Dig Site Engineer ability. It's a 4/4 construct. You don't have good attacks anywhere, it seems, and so we'll pass the turn. Prismari taps. Draws a Sly Instigator. We're going to play an island. I have 11 open mana, so we'll tap 10 of the mana and cast Muse Vortex. This is a sorcery. It says exile the top X cards of your library. You may cast an instant or sorcery spell with mana value X or less from among them without paying its mana cost. Then put the exiled instant or sorcery cards that weren't cast this way into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. This is going to trigger Zephi, and so we're going to scry 1, and we'll put Varian on the bottom, and then we'll get another 4/4, and then the value is 10 or greater, so we're going to deal damage to a random opponent. We're going to roll a die, and it'll be 1 through 4 over here, and then 5 and 6 won't count. It is 1, we're dealing 10 damage to Quandrix. Quandrix goes to 27, and then we're going to exile 8 cards. We've exiled 2 mountains, Aether Spouts, Call the Skybreaker, Majoring Network, Desert of the Fervent, Myriad Landscape, and Tali Primal Storm. The only one here that we can cast is Call the Skybreaker. So we are going to shuffle this and put it on the bottom. And then we'll cast Call the Skybreaker. This is a sorcery. It says create a 5/5 blue and red elemental creature token with flying. And it has Retrace. This will again trigger Zephi. So we will look at the top card. It's an island. We're going to stick that on the bottom. And then we're going to create another 4/4. We're going to then create a 5/5 with flying. And this will trigger Elemental's Palette, so we'll put a counter on there. And then, again, the attacks aren't amazing here, so I think we'll just pass the turn. Oh, we'll do this now. On the Steel Hellkite cast, since I was not tracking, we'll tap the Growth Chamber and the Force to theoretically duplicate the Steel Hellkite. This is an instant. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, this turn create a token that's a copy of the creature. So we'll create a copy of the Steel Hellkite, and then Adrix means that we'll create another copy of the Steel Hellkite, and then we'll untap. We'll draw a Geometric Nexus. Then we'll use the Idol of Oblivion to draw. We draw a Geometric Nexus. We should have done that when we cast that. And then we'll draw another card this turn. We have Curse of the Swine. I think this might be enough for us here. If we just get rid of the flyers, then we can start swinging with the copies to start blowing up boards. We'll play the Blighted Woodland. It is a land. You can tap 4 colors and pay 3 and a green to search the library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped and shuffle. For the time being, we're going to tap these 2 for colorless, and then 4 more mana to cast Curse of the Swine. Is a sorcery. Exile X target creatures. For each creature exiled this way, its controller creates a 2/2 green boar creature token. We're going to target all of the flying creatures. Brina is exiled and becomes a boar. We'll put Brina back in the command zone. The Vampire Nighthawk is exiled and becomes a boar. The Steel Hellkite is exiled and becomes a boar. The Elemental is exiled and becomes a boar. We can do a lot of damage to Prismari by swinging, so we will attack Prismari with the Steel Hellkite. Prismari can't block, so we'll take 6 and go to 28. Then we'll pay 4 to blow up all their non-land permanents. Everything mana value 4 or less is destroyed. That is their entire board. So the file will be returned to the command zone. We're going to stay on the defense here and pass the turn. Silver Quill untaps. Draws an Infernal Offering. Here I think we need to reset the board because Quandrix is really scary and we don't have many defenders. So we're going to attack Quandrix because they're the scariest one of all right now. And attack with Teysa, Envoy of Ghosts, which can't be blocked by any creatures, for 8. Quandrix takes 8 and goes to 19. We'll take another 8 from Double Strike, going to 11. Then we'll tap 7 mana and cast Deathbringer Regent. This is a 5/6 dragon with flying, and when it enters the battlefield, if you cast it from your hand and there are 5 or more other creatures on the battlefield, destroy all other creatures. This will do a full board wipe for everybody. Teysa and the Boar and the Scholarship Sponsor all die. Teysa and the Boar and the Scholarship Sponsor all die. Witherbloom loses their Honor Troll, Leyline Prowler, Boar, Will o' Dusk. We'll put Will o' Dusk back in the command zone. Osgir will spend 1 mana to sacrifice the Solemn Simulacrum, giving itself +2/+0. Draw a card off of that, which is a mountain. And then all the creatures will die. Put Osgir back in the command zone. Quandrix will lose their copies. The creatures. Adrix and Nev will go back to the command zone. Then we'll spend 4 more mana to cast a Haunted Lamassu. This is a 5/5 Lamassu with flying, and when it enters the battlefield, target opponent creates a 4/4 black horror creature token. We'll give the Lamassu horror over to Prismari, since they seem to have the least to be able to do with the tokens. Prismari gets the horror. Then Silver Quill will pass the turn. Witherbloom untaps. Draws a Soul Ring. Not a great position. I think we're on the defense here. We'll pay and recast Will o' Dusk, paying an extra 2 for the command tax. We'll tap 1 for the Soul Ring, and we'll play the Temple of the False God. This is a land. You can tap it for 2, colorless, activate only if you control 5 or more lands. And then we'll pay 3 more to stick the Warhammer on Will o' Dusk, making Will o' Dusk a 6/3 lifelink trampler, and we'll pass the turn. Lorehold untaps, draws a Rip Apart. We'll spend 2 mana and cast the Ichor Wellspring. This is an artifact. When it enters the battlefield or is put into a graveyard, draw a card, draw a Cursed Mirror. We'll play another mountain, spend 9 mana. Cast the Triplicate Titan. This is a 9/9 artifact golem with flying, vigilance, and trample. When it dies, create a 3/3 colorless golem artifact creature with flying, another one with vigilance, and another one with trample. And then we'll pass the turn. Prismari untaps. We draw an Inferno Project. We'll spend 3 mana and cast Inspiring Refrain on Suspend. It's a sorcery, draw 2 cards and exile it with 3 counters on it. Suspend 3 for 2 and a blue. So I think getting Sly Instigator will be good. So we'll tap 4 mana, play the Sly Instigator. This is a 2/4 human wizard with blue. Tap until your next turn. Target creature opponent controls can't be blocked. Go that creature, and then we'll pass the turn. Quandrix will untap. We draw a forest. We'll play a forest. We'll spend 2 mana to play the Geometric Nexus. It's an artifact. Whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery, put a number of charge counters on the Nexus equal to the spell's mana value. You can pay 6, tap, remove all charge counters from it to create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token. Put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the number of charge counters removed this way. And then we'll use the 6 more mana to replay Adrix and Nev. And then we'll pass the turn. Silver Quill untaps. Draws a Bold Plagiarist. So let's get some value from it. We'll tap 2 and play Together Forever. It's an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, support 2. For 1, you can choose a target creature with a counter on it. When that creature dies this turn, return that card to its owner's hand. We'll put that on the Deathbringer Regent and the Hunted Lamassu. Then we'll take advantage of it by tapping 2 planes and the Opal Palace for colorless And we'll cast Secret Rendezvous. It's a sorcery. You and target opponent each draw 3 cards, so we'll give the cards to Silverquill. We'll draw a Vow of Duty, Nil's Discipline Enforcer, and a Coveted Jewel. Quandrix draws a Rampant Growth, Forest, and Beast Within. We're going to swing at Quandrix with a Deathbringer Regent, giving it double strike. Quandrix was given the answer, so we'll tap 3 mana and cast Beast Within, targeting the Deathbringer. This is an instant, destroy target permanent, and its controller creates a 3/3 green beast creature token. We don't want that, so we'll tap 1 mana and then bring this back into our hand. Then we'll cancel combat here. We'll hold up our mana for the Bold Plages and we'll pass the turn. With Womb untaps, draws Ob Nixilis, Reignited. So we'll spend 5 mana and cast Ob Nixilis Reignited. This is a Planeswalker. You can +1 to draw a card and lose 1 life. You can -3 to destroy target creature, or you can -8. Target opponent gets an emblem with whenever a player draws a card, you lose 2 life. We have to take out the Triplicate Titan because we don't have good defenses against it. So we're gonna -1 to go to 4 and take it out. Titan is lost. We'll gain the golems. You don't want to lose the Ob Nixilis, so I think we just hold here and pass the turn. Lord Hold untaps. You draw a Steel Overseer. Play a Study Hall. This is a land. You can tap for colorless, and you can pay 1 and tap it to add 1 mana in a color. When you spend mana to cast your commander, scry X, where X is the number of times it's been cast. The command zone this game. We'll pay 5 mana and cast Alabu Ancient Witness. This is a 4/5 legendary artifact golem. Other artifact creatures you control have haste, and whenever 1 or more artifact creatures you control attack, it deals X damage to any target, and you scry X, where X is the number of tapped artifacts you control. We'll tap the Arcane Signet and the Exotic Orchard for 2 more mana and cast Steel Overseer. This is a 1/1 artifact construct. You can tap it to put +1/+1 counter on each artifact creature you control. We'll tap it to put a +1/+1 counter on each of our creatures. I think we're going to swing at Silverquill because we have a nice life buffer, and I think we can blow up their 1 creature and do a chunk of damage. So we'll swing everybody at Silverquill. And then that is 6 tapped artifacts, so we'll deal 6 to the Hunted Lamassu. We'll tap 1 to return the Lamassu to our hand. We'll take 17 damage and go down to 21. I think we just hold the rest of our mana to blow things up if we need it, and we'll pass the turn. Prismarion taps. Draw a Dig Through Time. We'll reduce the counter on the refrain. Tap 2 blue and exile a bunch of cards to Dig Through Time. We'll need to tap 1 more mana, so we'll tap the Shivan Reef. This is an instant with Delve. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. Put 2 of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Alright, we have an Izzet Signet, Charmbreaker Devils, Fiery Fall, Scavenger Grounds, Letter of Acceptance, Seething Song, and Storm Kiln Artist. Definitely take the Charmbreaker Devils. We also take the Storm Kiln Artist, and then we'll put the Fiery Fall on the top, Letter of Acceptance, Seething Song, Scavenger Grounds, Izzet Signet, and Seething Song. We'll tap 6 more mana and cast a Charmbreaker Devils. This is a 4/4 Devil. At the beginning of your upkeep, return an instant or sorcery card at random from your graveyard to your hand. We'll also play the Desert of the Mindful. We'll play a mountain and say that we untapped one of the islands, and then we don't want to be attacked, so we'll hold the Slide Instigator and pass the turn. Quandrix untaps. The Nexus should have 8 counters on it. We know that they have a creature that blows everything up, and so I want to limit what we're doing. We'll spend 2 mana and cast Rampant Growth. That'll put another counter here, and we'll get a basic land and put it on the battlefield. We're going to play a little bit of defense by tapping 4 mana and playing the Forgotten Ancient. This is an 0/3 elemental. Whenever a player casts a spell, you put a +1/+1 counter on it at the beginning of their upkeep. You may move any number of +1/+1 counters from Forgotten Ancient to other creatures. If play Forest as well. We'll pass the turn. Silver Quill untaps. Draws a Parasitic Impetus. We just do what we just did and blow up the boards because it looks pretty scary out there. But we need some way of dealing with the Ob Nixilis. Well, we know the Ob Nixilis can't kill this next turn, so I think we just go ahead and cast it again. We'll cast the Deathbringer Regent. We'll blow up all the other creatures. There goes Willow Dusk. And Team Artifact. And this crew. And the Forgotten Ancient, which would have got a counter, but it still dies. Adrix will go back. We have 4 mana, so we'll go ahead and just recast the Hunted Lamassu. We'll give the Hunted Horror to Prismari again. Prismari gets a Horror. Then Silver Quill will pass the turn. Wither Bloom untaps. Draws a Radiant Fountain. We'll play the Exotic Orchard. We're going to +1 Ob Nixilis to 3 loyalty to draw a card and lose a life. We'll go down to 35. We'll draw an Ageless Entity. Like, we're going to lose our Ob Nixilis number no matter what. Gaze of Granite will destroy their creatures at least. Silver Quill, but they have so many cards in hand, I think we want to wait for them to spill. So we'll let Ob take some damage here. And I think we cast nothing and lean on our life here and pass the turn. Lorehold untaps. We draw a Cleansing Nova. I think here we want to draw some cards, so I'm gonna tap 6 mana and cast Combustible Gear Hulk. This is a 6/6 artifact construct with first strike. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent may have you draw 3 cards. If the player doesn't, you mill 3 cards and it deals damage equal to the player to the total mana value of those cards. I think Quandrix is in the tightest life spot, so let's give it to Quandrix. They'll choose to give us 3 cards. And we get a Mountain, a Forgotten Cave, and a Meteor Golem. We'll play the Mountain. And then we'll tap 3 more mana. And play the Cursed Mirror. This is an artifact you can tap for red, and as it enters the battlefield, you may have it become a copy of any creature on the battlefield until end of turn, except it has haste. We'll make it a Combustible Gear Hulk, again asking Quandrix if they want to take the damage. They'll give us the cards. We draw an Ancient Den, a Mirror Battlesphere, and a Sanctum Gargoyle. We'll spend the last 4 mana to cast the Sanctum Gargoyle. It's a 2/3 artifact gargoyle with flying, and when it enters the battlefield, you may return a target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. We'll choose the Triplicate Titan. And then we'll go ahead and swing at Silver Quill with the temporary Combustible Gear Hulk. Silver Quill will decline a block, and we'll take 6 and go to 15. And then Lorehold will pass the turn. Prismari untaps. We'll draw Memorial to Genius. We'll reduce this counter to 1. We'll spend 4 mana and cast a Stormkiln Artist. This is a 2/2 Dwarf Shaman. And it gets +1/+0 for each artifact you control. And whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, create a treasure token. We'll play the Memorial to Genius. This is a land in a spell tapped. You can tap for blue and pay 4 and blue to sacrifice it to draw 2 cards. And then we'll spend 6 mana to replay Zephi. And we'll pass the turn. Quandrix untaps. Draws a Quandrix Cultivator. We'll play the Quandrix Cultivator. It's a 3/4 Turtle Druid, and when it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic force or island card, put it onto the battlefield, and then shuffle. We'll tap 8 more mana and recast Adrix and Nev, and then we'll pass the turn. Silver Quill will untap. Draw a Swamp. Play the Swamp. We want to get rid of Ob before it can destroy our creatures. We'll go to combat and we'll swing the Lamassu at Ob Nixilis, and we'll give it double strike. Ob Nix goes down. We're going to spend 3 mana and cast Parasitic Impetus, targeting the Combustible Gear Hulk. This is an aura enchant creature. It gets +2/+2 and is goaded. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, its controller loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Alright, then we'll spend 5 more mana to recast Brina, and we will pass the turn. Wither Bloom draws. Blight Mount, huh? Alright, I think we just need to clear the board here. We're going to cast a Gaze of Granite X7, which should blow up everything. This is sorcery. It says destroy each non-land permanent with mana value X or less. This will destroy the Soul Ring and the Lockstone Warhammer. Everything lore hold is gone. We'll drop a card off the Ichor Wellspring Dying. We get a Reconstruct History. The Parasitic Impetus falls off. Back into Silverquill's graveyard. Prismari loses Zephi again. Horror and the Stormkiln Artist. Quandrix loses Adrix and Nev. The Cultivator. The Geometric Nexus. And the Idol of Oblivion. Silverquill loses Brina. Lamasu, the Deathbearing Regent, Duelist Heritage, and Together Forever. With our remaining cards, with our remaining mana, we'll tap 3 and cast Blight Mound. This is an enchantment attacking pest you control. Get +1/+0 and a have menace. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, create a 1/1 black and green pest creature token with when this creature dies, you gain 1 life. And then we'll pass the turn. Lord Hold untaps. We draw a Mycosynth Wellspring. We'll play the Ancient Den. It's an artifact land. You can tap for colorless. I think we're just in an okay place to start Triplicate Titaning again, so we'll spend 9 mana to cast Triplicate Titan. And another 2 for the Mycosynth Wellspring. Grab a Plains. Shuffle. And then Lord Hold will pass the turn. Prismari untaps. An upkeep, we'll remove it and we'll cast the Inspiring Refrain. We'll draw 2 cards. We get an island and a Prismari Campus, and then we'll suspend it again in exile. Then we'll draw a regular card, which is a Study Hall. We'll play a Prismari Campus. It's a land. It enters the battlefield tap. You can tap it for blue or red, and you can pay 4 and tap it to scry 1. Then we'll tap 6 mana. Cast an Inferno Project. This is a 0/0 elemental with trample. It enters the battlefield with +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the total mana value of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. That is 37 counters. This enters the battlefield with the counters, so Silverquill cannot use its ability to get the counters. And then we'll just hold up Traumatic Visions to protect the Inferno Project and pass the turn. Quandrix untaps. Draws a Shamanic Revelation. I think we're just gonna have to play the Desolation Twin without getting the benefit this time. So we will tap 10 mana and play the Desolation Twin. This is a 10/10 Eldrazi. When you cast the spell, create a 10/10 colorless Eldrazi creature token. And that gives us a good bit of defense. We'll be able to draw with the Wild Speaker on the following turn. So we'll hold here. Silverquill untaps. We'll draw a Swamp. We'll play the Swamp. We're going to spend 3 mana and cast Vow of Duty on the Inferno Project. This is an aura. An enchanted creature has +2/+2 and has vigilance, and you can't attack you or planeswalkers you control. We'll spend 7 more mana to recast Brina, and then we'll pass the turn. Silverquill untaps. We draw a Druidic Satchel. We'll pay 3 mana to cast the Druidic Satchel. This is an artifact. Reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, create a 1/1 green sapling creature token. If it's a land card, put that card onto the battlefield under your control. If it's a non-creature, non-land card, you gain 2 life. We'll spend 5 mana right now and cast the Ageless Entity. This is a 4/4 elemental. Whenever you gain life, put that many +1/+1 counters on Ageless Entity. We'll play the Radiant Fountain. This is a land. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 2 life, and you can tap it for colorless. We'll gain 2 life to go up to 37. We'll put 2 counters on the Ageless Entity. We'll spend 2 more mana to tap the Druidic Satchel, revealing the top card. It is not a creature, and so we'll gain 2 more life, going up to 39. That will put 2 more counters on the entity. And everybody needs to have a chumper for the big boss, so we'll pass the turn. Lore Hold untaps. We'll draw a Monologue Tax. We'll play the Forgotten Cave. I think we might want a Cleansing Nova here, because then we can reset the board and then replay our stuff. So that's what we'll do. We'll tap 5 mana and cast Cleansing Nova. It's a sorcery. It says choose when destroy all creatures or destroy all artifacts and enchantments. We'll destroy all creatures. While Cleansing Nova is on the stack, Prismari will tap out and cast Traumatic Evasions. This is an instant. It says counter target spell with basic land cycling 1 and blue will counter the Cleansing Nova. Nothing is Nova'd. We'll play a Plains, and then we'll tap 7 more mana and cast the Meteor Golem. This is an artifact golem. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target non-land permanent opponent controls. We'll take out the Inferno Project. Inferno Project dies. Silverquill eats the Vow of Duty. So I think we're going to just hold here with our 2 mana and pass the turn. Prismari untaps. Take this down. Draw a card. It's a mountain. We'll play another island. I think we go ahead and spend 8 mana to recast Zephi. And then we'll just pass the turn here. And then we'll play the Desert of the Mindful. So land it into the battlefield tapped. You can tap it for blue and you can cycle it for 1 and a blue. Condrix untaps. We draw the Spitting Image. You know, I think what we do is we're going to spend 5 mana and we'll cast Return of the Wild Speaker. This is an instant. It says choose 1 draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-human creatures you control. Or non-human creatures you control get +3/+3. We'll go ahead and draw 10 cards. We drew an Arcane Signet, a Soul Ring, Fractal Harness, Arashi's The Sky Asunder, Kazandu Tuskcaller, Managorger Hydra, Raging Baloth, Sequence Engine, Incubation Druid, and Rite of Replication. Seems like a good start here. We'll tap 1 island to cast the Soul Ring. Tap the Soul Ring to cast the Arcane Signet. Before we did any of that, let's say we tapped 3 mana to cast the Managorger Hydra. This is a 1/1 Hydra with Trample, and when a player casts a spell, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So it will have 2 counters on it. We'll spend 2 more mana to cast an Incubation Druid. This is an 0/2 Elf Druid, and you can tap it to add 1 mana of any type of land that you control could produce. It has +1/+1 counter on it, then it adds 3 mana of that type. You can pay 3 green to adapt 3. This will put another counter on the Gorger. Then we'll spend 3 more mana. And we'll cast the Sequence Engine. Put another counter on the Managorger. And this is a artifact. You can pay X and tap it to exile a target creature with mana value X from a graveyard. Create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token. Put X +1/+1 counters on it. And activate only as a sorcery. Silverquill has done us the most damage and has the most number of cards. So swing at Silverquill with Desolation Twin. Silverquill will chump with their commander, which will return to the command zone. And then Quandrix will pass the turn. Silverquill untaps. We'll draw Felisa Fang of Silverquill. We'll play the Bold Plagiarist. This is a 2/2 Vampire Rogue with Flash. Whenever an opponent puts 1 or more counters on a creature they control, they put the same number of counters on the Bold Plagiarist. And then we're going to spend 3 mana and cast Nil's Discipline Enforcer. This is a 2/2 Legendary Human Cleric. At the beginning of your end step, for each player, put a +1/+1 counter onto up to 1 target creature that player controls. Each creature with 1 or more counters can't attack you or planeswalkers you control unless its controller pays X, where X is the number of counters on that creature. And then we'll spend 4 more mana to cast Felisa Fang of Silverquill. This is a 3/2 Legendary Vampire Wizard with Flying and Mentor. Whenever non-token creature you control dies, if it had counters on it, create X tapped 2/1 white and black Inkling creatures controlled with Flying, where X is the number of counters had on it. Go to the end step and put 4 counters on the Bold Plagiarist. We'll put a counter on the Ageless Entity. We'll put a counter on the Triplicate Titan. We'll put a counter on Zephi. We'll put a counter on the Eldrazi token. The Managorger Hydra will have activated 3 times. So we'll put 2 more counters on the Plagiarist, making it an 8/8. We have some defenses up here, so we'll pass the turn. Silverquill untaps. Draws the Paradise Plume. We'll pay 2 more mana and tap the Druidic Satchel again. Look at the top card. It's Guillaume, Master Chief. We'll create a Saproling. And then this will be put into the battlefield under our control. We'll spend 4 more mana to play the Paradise Plume. This is an artifact. As it enters the battlefield, choose a color. Whenever a player casts a spell of the chosen color, you may gain 1 life. And you can tap to add 1 mana of the chosen color. The most other colors that we have are 2. As long as we don't choose green or black, that will improve our odds here. So our most living opponents are Lorehold and Prismari, so we'll choose red for the life gain there. We'll spend 7 more mana to recast Will-O-Dusk, and then we'll pass the turn. Lord Hold untaps. Draw a mountain. It is Lila the Blade Reforged. The Mana Gorger Hydra should get 2 more counters to go up to 9. I think they don't have any defenses, and they have the most number of cards now. So I think we attack Quandrix with the Triplicate Titan for 10. Quandrix can't block and goes to 1. We'll spend 7 to cast the Mirror Battlesphere. This is a 4/7 artifact mirror construct. When it enters the battlefield, create 4 colorless mirror artifact creature tokens. Whenever Mirror Battlesphere attacks, you may tap X, untap mirror you control. If you do, it gets +X+O until end of turn and deals X damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking. There's the mirror. We'll spend 6 more mana to cast Osgir. Since we just want to end this, we'll have sacrificed the Microsynth's Wellspring to give the Triplicate Titan +2/+0 to finish off Quandrix. We'll put a plains into our hand. We'll play the plains. Quandrix dies. Lord Hold will pass the turn. Prismarian taps. Takes this down. Draws a card. It's the Dualcaster Mage. Okay. I think we're gonna have to look for some more action here. So we're gonna spend 5 mana and crack the Memorial to Genius to draw 2. We draw a Diluvian Primordial and a Swarm Intelligence. Okay, I think that's a place we can start. We don't want to be completely run over next turn, so we need to get a little bit of defense here. So we'll tap out and cast a Diluvian Primordial. It's a 5/5 avatar with flying. When it enters the battlefield, for each opponent you may cast up to 1 target instant or sorcery card from the player's graveyard without paying its mana cost. If a spell cast this way would be put into a graveyard this turn, exile it instead. For Silver Quill, we'll cast Secret Rendezvous, and we'll target ourselves and Silver Quill. Silver Quill draws a Swamp, a Plains, and a Study Hall. Saphai will scry, and we'll look at the Riona the Fire Dancer. We'll keep that on top. And then draw Riona, Island, and Soul Ring. For Witherbloom, we'll cast Nissa's Renewal, exiling it. We'll scry 1. And it's a Talisman of Creativity. We'll put it on the bottom, but it won't matter. We'll also gain an elemental creature. We'll grab 3 more basic lands. We'll gain 7 life to go back up to 35. We'll cast Cleansing Nova to destroy all artifacts and enchantments. That will blow up Lord Hold's board. Witherbloom will lose their 2 artifacts and their enchantment. And then we'll also re-trigger this. We'll scry 1. It's Humble Defector. I think we put that on the bottom. We'll create another elemental. And then we'll play a mountain, tap it to play the Soul Ring. We'll pass the turn. Silver Quill untaps. We draw a Windborn Muse. We'll play a Plains. I think we spend 6. And cast the Coveted Jewel. This is an artifact. When it enters the battlefield, draw 3 cards. You can tap it for 3 mana of any color. Whenever 1 or more creatures an opponent controls attack you and aren't blocked, that player draws 3 cards and gains control of the Coveted Jewel. Untap it. We drew a Tainted Field, Zetalpa Primal Dawn, and Rogue's Passage. So we'll tap this for white. Tap this. Tap this. We'll cast Zetalpa Primal Dawn. This is a 4/8 legendary Elder Dinosaur. The Flying, Double Strike, Vigilance, Trample, and Indestructible. And then at the end of the turn, we'll go ahead and put some counters on some creatures. Put a counter on the Primordial, Osgir, Will-O-Dusk. Then Silver Quill will pass the turn. Witherbloom untaps. Draw Guillaume Master Chef. We'll tap 4. Cast Guillaume Master Chef. It's a 5/3 legendary troll warlock with trample. At the beginning of your end step, create a number of food tokens equal to the number of non-token creatures you control that enter the battlefield. Under your control this turn, you can pay 1, sacrifice food, target creature gains indestructible until end of turn and tap it. Get 1 food, and then we'll pass the turn. Osgir taps. We draw an Unstable Obelisk. I think Osgir is our answer here. We're going to spend 9 mana. We will exile the Triplicate Titan, creating 2 copies of the Triplicate Titan. We'll tap 3 mana and cast Monologue Tax. This is an enchantment. Whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, you create a treasure token. And we'll spend 3 more mana to cast the Unstable Obelisk. This is an artifact. You can tap with colorless or pay 7, tap and sack it to destroy target permanent, and we'll pass the turn. Here's Mario on taps. We're gonna finish this, and then we'll draw 2 cards. We cast a spell that is worth 6. So before we cast it, we look and we decide, I think that these are fine to keep. And then we will get another elemental. And we'll draw a card for turn. Exiling this. Okay. We're gonna play the island. I think we have some kind of game here. Okay, we're gonna tap the Soul Ring. We're gonna tap 5 more mana to cast Volcanic Vision. This is a sorcery. Return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. It deals damage equal to that card's mana value to each creature your opponents control and exile. While that's on the stack, we're gonna tap 3 more mana and cast Dualcaster Mage. This is a 2/2 human wizard, and as it enters the battlefield, you make copy target instant or sorcery spell. You choose new targets for the copy. We'll target Volcanic Vision again, so we're going to return 2 cards from the graveyard to our hand. We're going to take Dig Through Time, and we're going to take Treasure Cruise. That's going to deal a total of 8 damage twice to each other creature that my opponents control, and we're going to trigger this twice. So we're going to scry once, put the island on the bottom, scry again, leave the Sunbird's Invocation on top. We're going to get 2 more elementals. We've run out, so we're going to count this as though it were an additional elemental, and then we'll wipe most of the board. Silver Quill loses everything except Zatalpa. We'll tap 1 mana and sacrifice a food for Witherbloom, which will trigger the Guild Master Chief's ability. It will give the ageless entity indestructible and will blow up the other 3 creatures. So this will destroy all these creatures. We'll let these get destroyed, and then we'll create 2 of each of the golems. We have the mana to cast this ahead, so we'll actually just act as though we did. We'll have casted Swarm Intelligence before we casted any of those spells, which is whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, you may copy that spell, and you can choose new targets for the copy. So we'll target the Volcanic Vision again and recast it again, taking Call the Skybreaker this time. This will trigger this again. We'll look at the Sunbird's Invocation, leave that on top. We'll get another 4/4. We'll blow up the board again for another 4 damage, finishing off all the golems. We will get a treasure token, and then we're going to stop here because there's a lot done, and we are going to go to combat. We'll swing at Lorehold with all the elementals and the Deluvrium Primordial that can attack this turn. Lorehold takes 12 and goes to 24, and then Prismari will pass the turn. Silver Quill untaps, draws a Stalking Leonin. Okay, we'll pay 4 mana and cast the Windborn Muse. This is a 2/3 spirit with flying, and creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays 2 for each creature they control that's attacking you. And then we'll spend 3 more mana and cast Stalking Leonin. It's a 3/3 cat archer. When it enters the battlefield, secretly choose an opponent, reveal the player you chose, and exile target creature that's attacking you. If it's controlled by the chosen player, activate only once. We'll target Prismari. We're going to play a Swamp, and we'll spend 5 more mana to cast Elite Skill Guard. This is a 2/3 human soldier. When it enters the battlefield, bolster 2, and whenever a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter attacks, tap target creature the defending player controls. We'll put the counters on the Windborn Muse and Zatalpa, and we need to attack Prismari with Zatalpa, so we'll do so. We don't have any flying walkers, so we're going to take 10 and go to 25, and then Silver Quill passes the turn. Witherbloom untaps. We draw Alhamret's Archive. We'll tap 5 mana and cast Alhamret's Archive. It's under Legendary Artifact. If you would gain life, you gain twice that much life. If you draw a card, except for the first one you draw on your turn, draw 2 cards instead. And then we can't cast anything else, so we don't have enough mana, so we'll pass the turn. Lorehold untaps. We draw a Duretti Scrap Savant. We'll spend 2 mana to rip apart, targeting the Swarm Intelligence. Swarm Intelligence is gone. We'll have to discard the Study Hall here. We'll spend 4 mana to cast Duretti Scrap Savant. This is a 3 loyalty planeswalker. You can +2 to discard 2 cards and then draw that many cards. -2 to sacrifice an artifact. If you do return artifact from your graveyard to the battlefield, and for -2 you get an emblem that says whenever an artifact is put into graveyard from the battlefield, return that card to the battlefield at the beginning of the next unstep. It can also be a commander. We are going to -2 to put the Meteor Golem back in our hand, putting Duretti at 1. To put the Meteor Golem back onto the battlefield, we will blow up the Diluvium Primordial. There goes the Primordial. We'll spend all the remaining mana to recast Osgir, and we'll pass the turn. Prismarian taps. We draw a Sunbird's Invocation. We're going to try to combo big here, so we're going to spend 6 mana to cast the Sunbird's Invocation. This is an enchantment. Whenever you cast a spell from your hand, reveal the top X cards of your library, where X of that spell's mana value. You may cast a spell with mana cost value X or less from among the cards revealed this way without paying its mana cost. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. We're going to cast for 7 mana Brass's Bounty. This is a sorcery. For each land you control, create a treasure token. That's 18 treasure tokens. We're going to exile 7 cards. We're going to cast Resculpt, targeting Zatalpa. It's an instant that says exile target creature or artifact is controlled, creates a 4/4 red and blue elemental creature token. Zatalpa's gone. We get a 4/4. We'll scry 1. We'll put the island on the bottom. We're going to cast Treasure Cruise. At a discount of 6, so we'll tap 2 additional mana. We'll trigger Sunbird's Invocation and exile 8. We'll cast Octavia, Living Thesis. It's an 8/8 legendary and elemental octopus. It costs 8 less to cast it if you have 8 or more instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard. Ward 8. Magecraft, whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, target creature has base power 8/8 till end of turn. Make one of the elementals 8/8. That will also trigger Zephi again. We'll take a look at the island. We'll put it on the bottom. We'll grab another elemental as a 4/4. While Brass's Bounty is on the stack, we'll cast for 4 mana Naru Meha, Master Wizard. It's a 3/3 legendary human wizard with flash, and it copies a target instant or sorcery. You may choose your targets for the copy. Other wizards go +1/+1. That will double the Brass's Bounty to 36. We'll exile 7 more. And we will cast Ether Gale. It's a sorcery of 5. Before we do that, we're going to trigger additional abilities, and then we're going to draw a card. So we're going to trigger the Scribe. We're going to put Serum Visions at the bottom. We're going to trigger another elemental. We're going to trigger, we'll then trigger the Aether Gale, which will scry again. We'll put the Seething Song on the bottom. We'll get another elemental. And then Aether Gale says it's a sorcery. Return 6 target non-land permanents to their owner's hand. Osgir will get a second treasure. We'll bounce the Ageless Entity and all 4 of Silverquill's creatures, as well as the Unstable Obelisk. Here goes Silverquill. Here goes the Obelisk. Here goes the Ageless Entity. And then we're going to draw 3 cards from the Treasure Cruise. We drew Faithless Looting, Epic Experiment, and Surge to Victory. And then we're going to spend 10 treasures, going down to 26, and we'll cast Epic Experiment. It's a sorcery. Exile the top X cards of your library. You may cast instant or sorcery spells with mana value X or less from among them without paying their mana cost. Then put all the cards exiled this way that weren't cast into your graveyard. That's going to trigger Sunbird's Invocation for 10. Do this first. So Fiery Encore will be put on the stack for casting. We'll trigger Zephi next. We'll take a look at this. Elemental Masterpiece, that's fine. We'll leave that on top. We'll get another token, and then we'll randomly deal 10 damage to one of the remaining players. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6. Osgir is going to take 10 and go to 14. And then we're going to trigger Fiery Encore, which is on the stack before Epic Experiment. It's a sorcery to discard a card, then draw a card. When you discard a non-land card this way, it deals damage equal to that card's mana value to target creature or planeswalker, it storms, and I think we've cast like 8 spells this turn. So we're going to discard twice. We're going to discard Call the Skybreaker and Surge to Victory, and then blow up the remaining creatures for Lore Hold. And then we'll draw 2 cards, which include Jaya Ballard and Elemental Masterpiece. And then that'll make another Elemental an 8/8. We'll spend 5 more mana to cast Riona Fire Dancer. This is a 3/4 legendary human wizard. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create X tokens that are copies of another target creature you control, where X is 1 plus the number of instant or sorcery spells that you've cast this turn. They gain haste, exile them at the beginning of the next untap step. Okay, I don't know how many creatures I have, but I have 8/8 elementals, and I've cast probably 9 spells or 10 spells this turn. So I'm going to get 9 8/8 elementals on top of all the other elementals that we have, and they're going to all attack. I don't think I need to do anything else. I think we've won by combo here. So we're going to turn all the creatures sideways and blow out all of our opponents for the win. And that will go to Prismari. Alright, let me know what you thought about the games in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of my videos, you can hit subscribe. This was Refresh. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.